The reality doesn't respond to your words, it responds to your frequency. This is why I'm going to share with you the deep way to shift your frequency. I call this the Genesis frequency, and this allows you to bend reality in your favor. You can command reality to shift everything in your favor. But before I begin, have you ever wondered why some people can manifest so easily while some struggle? Doesn't matter how hard they try to manifest, nothing works for them. And the whole reason why that is because of the frequency, the energy that they emit, that they embody, that they move with. That is the difference. So this is why this video is going to be in depth, going through so that you understand the depth of frequency and how to shift it in your favor. Because ultimately, I want you to create a frequency so strong that universe rearranges everything in your favor. Before we understand the frequency, we must understand the creation, the universe. What is exactly happening in the universe? Because until we understand the universe, we cannot emit the frequency that we desire. We struggle to emit because we don't have the whole picture. This is why the first thing I want to talk about is the divine order. And if you see some mistakes here, it's just me being slightly dyslexic where I make mistakes. So that's that. In order to understand the creation, we have to understand the divine order, how everything is arranged in the universe. So the first thing you need to know that 70% in the universe, and I'm using the word universe, but universe is a very small word. What is creation is infinite. It is, I'm just going to use the word universe because I don't know what other word I can use, but ultimately I'm talking about infinite creation. So the 70% of the universe is the dark energy. That dark energy is a mystery that nobody knows what that is. So the universe is made of 70% of dark energy. 27% is the dark matter. Again, it is a mysterious matter that is basically nothing. So 70% and 27% is basically nothing. So there is nothing happening. It is just the energy of nothingness. And 3% is where the creation exists. So within that 3% is all the galaxies, the universes, the Milky Ways, the moon, the sun, the planets, everything that exists in creation that has a physical form, it is only 3%. So just to give you perspective on that, 70% is dark energy, 27% is dark matter, and 3% is the creation. Just imagine the vast creation that we live in, the vast universe that we live in, and what we know, that is only 3%. Everything that is created, where 97% is nothingness. So that just gives you perspective of source, divine, creator, the divine order. That 27% that is the dark matter, that is there to hold the energy of different planets, galaxies, and all the order that happens in the universe, moon, sun, stars, earth, and all the other planets, to make sure that they are circling in a right order, they are moving in the right order. That's what dark matter supports. It supports the gravity, it supports the energy to make sure everything accordingly is moving correctly. And that's what dark matter serves in the universe. The reason I'm sharing with you so that you understand the vastness of creation, so that you understand the order of universe, the order of divine, because the divine order allows things to move in a way that is moving perfectly. The sun, the moon, the planets, the earth, the way it's moving, everything is moving perfectly. And that's what 27% dark matter does. So that gives you some perspective on where we are as a being, as a human being where we are. We are part of the nothingness. And the reason I'm sharing that with you, because on a human level, when we are really focused on our pain, our issues, our challenges, we forget what we are part of. We forget how we are all operating, because ultimately we are 0.1%, tiny percent of the universe, really small. So ultimately the nothingness. And this is what I want you to know. This the energy that we have to understand. There's two parts of the energy. One is on the macro level, the macro, where there is nothingness. There's nothing, because when we look at from the universe, from a higher perspective, where everything is operating in nothingness, we are nothing. That is our truth. We are ultimately nothing. And when I say that, it's just to give you that liberation, that when we get so attached with our pain, our issue, our challenges, we have to understand that we are ultimately nothing. On a macro level, on a higher level, we are nothing. But on a micro level, we are everything. So the universe exists in nothingness. We are part of that nothingness. But ultimately, when we look at one particle of the universe, i.e., human being, i.e., any part of creation, that is everything. That is everything. That is universe within every molecule, every atom, every being, every essence. So that is the beauty of the universe, that ultimately on a macro we are nothing, but micro we are everything. So on a micro level, we are everything. That means every cell, every atom, every molecule in our being, it is everything. And those molecule, atom, cells, and everything that carries a frequency, energy, because ultimately it is all frequency, all energy operating on a different level. So knowing that every cell, every atom, every molecule is carrying a frequency, carrying an energy, and that frequency really dictate the reality we live in. That frequency dictate what we receive, what we have, what we perceive. It is all dictated by that frequency. Because ultimately the universe is, the matter is, like I said, is then 70% is the energy, dark energy, that is, nobody knows what that is. It's mysterious energy that is floating, that tells you that the whole universe is energy ultimately, where only 3% is the creation that we are aware of, and some of those creation we are not even aware of. So just to understand the depth of who we are and what God has made us, the divine energy, what it made us. So recognizing that, the higher perspective, so that you understand the depths of why the energy is so important, why the frequency is so important, and why we feel so deeply. I am doing a live event tomorrow called Expansion Portal. And if you want to be part of Expansion Portal, where I will share with you how to manifest all through source energies, through divine energy. And if you want to be part of Expansion Portal, click the link below to register for that event that is happening on 22nd of October. So what is the Genesis frequency? Genesis is the origin, the source of the frequency. And this is what I want to share with you, because the source we need to understand. As we've understood the divine order, we understood what the universe is and how universe operates, the dark matter, the dark energy, and knowing that everything is frequency. Because ultimately the frequency that we feel, this is the different level of frequency, and every level of frequency has different vibration, different energy, different vibration that we are emitting. And these different vibration, ultimately we want to be on a higher level, highest level, where we are creating the frequency of that infinite potential, creating frequency of that infinite manifestation. And the reason people cannot do that is because mostly they are operating on a lower energy, lower frequency. They're operating on a lower frequency because they are using their reality, their circumstances as a signal to think feel, and act. So when we think, feel, and act from the circumstances, the life that we observe, what is happening in our life, we emit that frequency in the universe. Universe doesn't understand your words, it understands your frequency. So when you observe something in your reality and you feel something in your body, you are emitting that frequency in the universe. You are sending a signal in the universe that this is what I am operating with. So if someone operates in anger, so they are always angry, they are always triggered, they are always unhappy or negative, they are consistently sending a signal to the universe, this is my frequency. And the universe responds back with the same frequency by showing them exactly those type of events, situation, and people in order to give back. Universe is like a mirror. So whatever you send it, it reflects back to you. It comes back to you. So whenever somebody operates in anger and they complain and they blame, they are emitting a frequency of anger, resentment, pain, and that is low frequency. That is the lowest frequency when we are in a state of anger or trigger, and we are sending that signal to the universe, and universe just mirrors back, reflects back the same frequency, and that gets reflected back in the reality by attracting more people who are rude or unkind, and then that would make that person even more angry. Then they find something doesn't work out for them, their flights get delayed, their orders get cancelled, their work becomes challenging, their people in their life become challenging, and it's like consistent feedback loop coming in and out, and through that they experience what they experience. In order to operate in the highest frequency and build such a strong frequency that reality shifts is by you treating life as a frequency. So stop seeing life as people or events and situation and circumstances. I want you to start seeing the life as frequency, energy. Every single thing is just a frequency. Start seeing if things are not working out, that is the lower frequency. If things are working out, that is a higher frequency. And that when you start observing your reality, your life as a frequency, you can walk as a frequency. This is how you make your energetic body so strong that reality bends. And it is about mastering your energy in a way because you're observing as a frequency. You're not observing as circumstances. You're not observing as human, but you actually start operating as frequency. You actually start operating as the being that is emitting frequency, energy. And how you can emit more higher frequency is by recognizing this. Because earlier we talked about nothing and everything, the macro and the micro. Balancing between nothingness and everything is a very crucial thing in order for you to understand that. So how do you balance? By knowing from a higher perspective, from micro perspective, all your problems are nothing. That is on a higher level, that nothing is a problem because the universe is nothing, because everything is nothing. On a higher level, it is nothing. So that gives you liberation, peace, and space within your body, within your energetic field. It creates a space because it is nothing. Ultimately, from higher perspective, from divine order, it is nothing. And when we recognize it is nothing, we create more space. But on a micro level, when we look at it, it is everything. Our problem is the biggest problem. Like everything we go through is the biggest thing. Our pain is the biggest issue. So on a micro level, it is everything. So when you can balance both, you can shift your frequency. When you can shift between nothing and everything, you can shift your frequency very rapidly. And you shift your frequency very rapidly by observing your internal reality. This is how you shift. You don't shift by watching what is happening. You shift by observing between nothing and everything, nothing and everything, nothing and everything, because every cell, every atom, and every molecule is operating in that nothingness and in everything, nothingness and in everything, because this is what the universe is. This is what the divine order is. This is how the creation has been made. And when we recognize this higher truth, and it is very deep, deep things that I'm sharing with you right now, so that you know that in order to create space within, we have to know that it is nothing. The pain is nothing. It is all illusion. It is part of the illusion. We are only creating an illusion by buying into more illusion. That's what matrix is. When we say that break the matrix, what we really mean is that you break the matrix by knowing that it's an illusion. It is not true. Everything that happens in the world, everything that is happening, the system, the institution, the corporates, all the drama in the world, all the chaos, it is an illusion in a way, because more people buy in illusions, more pain they experience. When we understand the truth, the deeper truth, the divine order, that we are ultimately in a nothingness, in this energy where we are ultimately connected to light, divine light, but ultimately we are part of nothingness, as I explained earlier. So when we know that and we understand that, we don't no longer need to hold on to fear. We no longer need to hold on to illusion and pain. And this is how we create space inside. This is how you start observing your internal reality, that is nothing. Somebody triggers me, it is nothing. It is an illusion. It is nothing. The trigger is just the feedback of what frequency I am operating, emitting. And when we recognize that I'm operating and emitting a frequency of maybe pain or survival, and this is why that person has triggered me, and it has triggered me something within me because I've been holding on to this pain, and this is why I am feeling the way I'm feeling. So they just gave me a feedback that triggered me. Now I'm aware. The way I would alchemize it, knowing that it is part of the illusion, that it is nothing, because ultimately the person who's doing what they're doing, they're also projecting their reality on me. And also I am taking that energy because I am holding on to certain darkness that is in alignment with that energy. So these are the things, on a micro level I'm talking about. On a everything level, on a micro level, we can balance it when we see the truth, when we understand the illusion, when we see that it is all part of the matrix. We are actually divine energy. We are actually part of this frequency that is ultimately connected to divine, highest, infinite creation. And when we understand that, we can create the balance between nothingness and everything. We can create the balance because the universe is that. That is the divine truth. This is what it is, and we cannot deny it. So that is one thing. The second thing you need to be aware of is the law of cause and effect. What is the cause and effect? What the universal law of cause and effect says, every cause has an effect. There's a cause for every effect. So everything that happens in the matter, in the material, in the reality, it has a cause. Something in causing that reality to occur. So what is causing that reality to occur? We have to be aware. We have to be aware what is causing the reality to occur in a certain way. If you want to be wealthy and abundant, and you want to be a millionaire, and you want to be billionaire and do good work in the world, and that's what you want to have in your life, and if that is not happening, if that is not your observed reality in your life, that you are not observing that you have millions of dollars in your bank account, that is an effect. The effect of the cause. What is the cause? You are the cause. You are causing your reality to affect in a certain way. We are always the cause of the reality that we see. We cause it. That is the most powerful revelation that you have to be aware of, that you are the cause for every effect. Because once you take the ownership, accountability, and responsibility, you start shifting your energy, because you take your power back, you reclaim your energy, your frequency. Because every time somebody blames somebody else, every time somebody say, it's their fault that I don't have this. It is their fault. Every time we do that, we are actually giving our frequency and energy to that person. We are actually saying, you are responsible for my pain. You are responsible why I'm not rich. You are responsible why I'm not married. You are responsible why my life was so difficult. When we do that, We are actually giving our energy and frequency to that, and we are taking their dark energy. We are taking their energy. If they are someone who are negative, who are toxic, who are manipulative, we are actually giving our pure energy by blaming them for our life, and we are taking their dark energy as our own. And when we do that, that's what we are emitting. We are emitting that energy, and this is why the energy gets dense and dark and painful and survival and difficult and hard. It's all happens because of that. When we take the energy back by knowing that we are the cause of every effect, and that is the universal law. Every cause has an effect. Every matter that exists, it is because of the cause. When you know that, you can take your power back. You can take your energy back. I am the cause of the life that I lead. And now I will be the cause that will emit the frequency of my highest desire. When you make that shift with intention, you start vibrating on a higher frequency because you stop blaming other people. You stop to holding other people accountable for your life. You stop holding people accountable for your suffering. You start emitting higher because you say, I am the cause, I am the cause, I am the cause. Because I'm the cause, I'm going to shift. As soon as you stop giving your energy, you start taking back your power, you start shifting, you start experiencing liberation, you start experiencing peace, you start experiencing ease, because ultimately the peace and the ease, it's on a higher frequency, it's on a higher energy. And that's how you build. That's how you build and shift your frequency from peace and ease to joy, from joy to love, from love to complete abundance. And this is how you shift your frequency. Shortly, I will share the 3 steps that are really powerful when it comes to Genesis frequency in order to be complete embodiment of the origin so that you own the frequency. This is why I call it Genesis frequency, because it is you become the origin, you become the source, you become the energy that emits. It does not borrow any energy from anybody else. It actually emits its own frequency on a higher level. And that's when you no longer borrow, you no longer take, you no longer leak, you no longer rely on other people. You create that separation between you and others, and you emit those frequency where things starts happening so rapidly that you will be on this flow that you are like, what is happening? The life is just like shifting so rapidly because you are the cause to your effect. When you shift your frequency, the effect changes. You start meeting the right people, you start attracting the right people, you start attracting right opportunities. And this is how I bent reality. This is how I started attracting opportunities that are so magical that I don't even know how they come into my energy. Some of those things that came to my energy that I wasn't even aware that how it would come. This is the power of it. And some of it is confidential. I can't share it. One of the things is I was approached by a filmmaker to make a movie on my story, on my life. That is the power of the energy. And I cannot share more, but ultimately what I want you to know is that it did not come from me trying to seek out somebody, but it is me operating in that energy that the right people come, because the energy becomes so magnetic that the right people come in to work with you. And that is the power. That is the power of the energy. And this is why I'm sharing this with you, because you become the origin, the source of that frequency, the Genesis frequency, where people reach out, people come to you, people want you, people want to be around you, people will want to work with you because of your energy. And you don't need to know the how. I don't know anybody in film industry. I don't know anyone from any industry. I'm not part of any circle or anything. It's just the frequency that attracted that opportunity for me. So that is the power of the frequency. That is the power of the energy. This is what I'm talking about, because when you are operating from that energy, you don't need to know the how. You don't need to know how things will come to you. You don't need it. You don't need it. You just operate in that joy, in that love, in that flow, in that ease. You meet people with that frequency, and people will just say, I don't know what is it about you, but I love being around you. I don't know what that is, but I just love being around you. It's because it's the frequency. Ultimately, you want to walk as the frequency. You move in life as the frequency of your highest vibration, by knowing that you are the cause that affects everything. And my life right now is the most peaceful life I've ever had. I came from a lot of chaos. If you don't know my journey, my story, I was married at 16. I ran away from my ex at 20, divorced at 21. And without my family, without any financial support, without anything, without home, I was homeless. Without anything at 21, being able to shift life, being able to get a job in investment banking, being able to shift through all the PTSD, all the trauma, everything that I went through to get here in this moment right now, it is because of the frequency. It's not, I didn't have any godfather, I didn't have anybody, I was all alone, just based on the energy, based on the frequency. That's where the shift happened. And if I can be there when all the odds were against me, everything was against me, then not having anybody from a age of 16, not knowing anybody from an age of 16, not having any family from age of 16, to getting to where I am today, it's because of the work, the deep work, because of the knowing the frequency, knowing the energy. And true story, when I went through my divorce, I didn't know any lawyers. I was 21. I didn't know any lawyer. I didn't have the money. I did not have the money. And this is just divine working through. I found a lawyer. I have no idea. If you ask me how, I have no idea how. I found a lawyer who did not charge me a fee because he was working with government, with some government scheme. I had no idea. I literally, I was in so much trauma at that time that I don't even remember how I found him. But I found that lawyer, didn't pay a penny because of whatever the scheme, government scheme he was part of, did not pay a penny for a divorce. My divorce was finalized pretty quickly when I was 21. So just so you know that even when we feel that we have nothing, we are actually, the divine order is working in our favor. Divine is they, because everything has a hidden order. Everything is, when we feel that we have nothing, when we feel that there's nobody, there's always somebody shows up. There's always something happens. It's because of the energy, because of the frequency. When we operate from that place, things starts to happen that we can't even make sense of. So I can't explain to you how I found that lawyer. I cannot explain it because I don't even know it. No friend recommended, nobody recommended him. It just felt like a guiding angel. That's what it felt like. A guiding angel came through. How? I don't know. Right? So that is the power, the frequency. This is why the how doesn't matter. This is why the frequency matters. You have the power to emit the frequency of the highest by releasing what is not yours, by knowing the energy of others. You don't need to borrow. You can own your own energy. You can be the genesis. You can be in that genesis frequency. You can emit that energy, and knowing the balance between nothing and everything, you can create a space to observe your internal reality rather than the outside circumstances, because the outside circumstances is not true. It is not true. It may feel true. Like I said, it is all an illusion. We make it true what we aligned with. So you can disregard it. You can let it go. You can heal it. You can release it. You can, because ultimately you want to heal it, release it so that you emit the highest frequency, so that you come back to yourself, so that you know that you are worthy of wealth, abundance, freedom, ease, and peace. So that is your divine truth. So coming back to yourself is very important, and knowing that you are the cause of every effect. knowing that this is who you are. So, in order to create that Genesis frequency where you are emitting the strongest frequency in order to bend reality and shift reality on your command, is by understanding these three steps and knowing reality is not happening to you, it is happening through you, is through your frequency, it is happening, the cause and effect. So the first step is that you shift the emotional baseline. The emotional baseline is when you allow yourself to experience more peace by letting go of pain. So you are shifting your baseline from being in survival to moving into the energy of peace and ease and flow. So this is how we shift the baseline, because when we on a lower frequency, we are emitting negative energies, and that negative energy come from where our emotional baseline is, because some people stay stuck in that loop of feeling good, then pain, feeling good, then pain, and then it's like a cycle. One day feeling really good, 5 days feeling really bad. One day feeling really good, 5 days feeling not great and pain and trauma, or something bad happened, something triggered, and now the 5 days they get sick and they're not feeling emotionally good. That's because their emotional baseline is very close to their survival, because they are living in survival. This is why they constantly experience this friction between one day great, 5 days a week bad, and that keep happening because they are literally in survival consistently. And this is why the capacity to increase the baseline, to be in ease, be in peace, creating that space, and you do that by healing the shadows, healing the darkness, healing the trauma, releasing all that dark dense energy, so that you can start neutralizing everything. You should start moving up. So emotional baseline is the first step. The second step is your subconscious identity. So, subconscious identity, we talk a lot about identity, but ultimately, it is not the identity you are showing up in the world, but the how you see yourself inside yourself. How do you see yourself? So somebody can dress up and look beautiful, and we see that in women a lot. They might look perfect on the outside. Everything look perfect. They look pretty. They wear nice clothes. They makeup and everything. But from the inside, they are insecure. They are in pain. They are not feeling secure about their looks. They are not feeling secure in their energy, their body. So the subconscious identity of how you see yourself is so important when it comes to manifestation, when it comes to shifting the frequency on a higher level, is how do you see yourself? If you see yourself somebody broken, unworthy, not enough, and not worthy, then that is the identity, that is the frequency that you are emitting in the world. Unknowingly, subconsciously, you are emitting that. Even doesn't matter how amazing job you have, how good you look on from the outside, but the identity of you from the inside, how do you see yourself? That is a subconscious identity that needs to be shifted in order for you to see yourself as worthy, as loved, as enough. Somebody who is already a millionaire, somebody who is already wealthy, somebody who is already operating from that energy. So that is second thing. The third step is the nervous system regulation, regulating your nervous system to receive. The cause has to receive in order to have an effect in the reality, in order to have the effect in the world. The cause has to know how to receive. If cause doesn't know how to receive, it will reject, it will sabotage, it will push it away. So the cause needs to know, the cause being you need to know how to receive. And you know how to receive by feeling safe in your body, by regulating your nervous system, by opening your vessel, by opening yourself to receive. That's when you create an effect in the outside. That's when you are open to receive. So making sure that your nervous system is working in your favor, opening itself for wealth and abundance and manifestation so that you are able to receive it with ease. Once you do that, once you are able to do that, you will be emitting this frequency so strong, you would be operating in the genesis frequency, the origin of frequency, where you are the one creating the frequency. You are the one who is the creator of that frequency and not borrowing from other people. You become the vessel, you become the authentic creator, you become the light in order to manifest, in order to have it all. So that's the secret. That is how we do it. And if you are ready to be on a higher level, energetically, emotionally, spiritually, and actually command the reality to move in your favor so that you increase your income, make money with ease, and have success that you've never experienced before, if you're ready for that, then you can click the link below to apply for my mentoring, where we go deep, deep, deep on your subconscious to release and break illusions so that you're no longer surviving but actually thriving. With that, like this video if you like this video, and subscribe to my channel, and may the light in me reaches the light in you.